What I'm looking at here is a theoretical FFT spectral graph of one of my tuning methods when I compare it to my favorite tuning method. So I've gone ahead and made the assumption that what if there was a perfect tune where everything was centered, and then all the other tunes would have the variation that I felt and heard, and then how could I visualize that? So I calibrated my so-called perfect tune, and then I measured the other ones through that calibration. So this is one of the probably second or third successful tunes. This is the Alpine all of cabin tuning method. The red line represents the right hand, R for red, R for right, and the green is for the left hand spectrum, and the dark grey is a representation of how the left and the right differ. So if you went like this and use it as a guide, so here in the bass, somewhere in that 70 to 80 degree region, it's pulling to the right by 5 dB or something, but in general say 3 or 4 dB in that meaty area. So you're sitting in the car, you feel that the bass slightly going to the right, and here you have a few little deviations and general spikiness and a lot of general left pulling. So this thickness here, if we go back here just to get our sanity back, so this thickness is the spread that you feel when you're sitting in a car and you're looking at the center, the ball. This is what I call the ball, this feeling, this spread. You can't name a frequency because music is triggering all of these frequencies very randomly all of the time, and so that's like maybe a 2 to 3, 4 dB spread from my perfect tune to this not so perfect tune. And here you could say the treble is pulling to the right, so we'll go back here like this. So it's pulling to the right. If you were to point your finger at the hi-hats, it would be going to the right somewhat, and some of those lower parts of the hi-hats and upper, vocal screechiness, those instruments 3 to 5K, is going to the left a bit. So that's how you get a ball that has different frequencies pulling different directions. So that was the Alpine tune. This was the Fat Centerline tune. Now, as you can see, it's almost dead ruler straight, but it still has enough pulling. If you had enough instruments hitting in this 6 to 900k area, that you're still getting this little ball, which is a thickness in your stereo stage. But it's better than the Alpine. The hi-hats staying very well centered, and this tightness here that's only like a 2 dB spread or so, is very tight in the upper registers, and then it gets that wonky in that, it's some of that very important instrument sounds, the guts of your vocals into the 2 to 1k area, and that's giving you the fatness. So that's ruined your ball in front of you. So you've got nice treble crisp area that was tight, and then you get a bit fatter middle area, and also a bit of a pull once again in this a bit lower this time, maybe 60-70. Not as much of a hard pull, but it is a pull to the right. You do actually feel these. You're sitting there and you're thinking about your center, and you're thinking about your upfront bass, and you go, "Oh, my upfront bass is just over here. And my upfront bass is sort of up the front, but it's not quite in the middle." And you get into that mindset that you've got this kind of holographic sound to your front stage. So that was the pull in the Alpine tune, and that was the pull in the Fat Centerline tune. needless to say, this was the calibrated spherical tune, which, just for the sake of this demonstration, if you hear something great, you go, well, what's different to that thing that's not so great? Well, then you can sort of say, well, that's what it was. It's that bump in the 5 to 1K area, and some extra bumps down here in the 200-300 area, and the bass thing really puts you off. Pretty tight there. And the Alpine one was a good feeling for a while, but the thickness of the ball was thicker. Still a good tune. Now, this is not going to make a lot of people happy. This is the default tuning method that everyone uses. Microphone in the headrest area, around the head, around your ears, in front of your face, have an array, blah blah blah, whatever you do, and then you're tuned to this. You might not use these finer points, you might use softer curves, you might not be doing as much damage, but as using an infinite FFT correction, but you're still trending towards the wrong area, and you're getting this kind of spread through your frequency range. So here, once again, pulling to the right, pulling to center, pulling to the right, pulling to center, pulling to the right, and so you'll get this spread, and then you'll get the balance or whatever, and you'll pull it all so it gets to the center, and then you might feel like your bass is wandering out to your left speaker, and you go, oh, I'll just go in there and I'll do a manual tweak, because everyone needs to, use your ears and go in there and do a tweak. I'll keep getting this fly away at 4K, and I'll just go in there and do a manual tweak, but the point of my experiment was to try and find out if there was a perfectly legitimate scientific way to measure the sound in a vehicle, and just, like if you, let's just say you had an AI program that could move a microphone around a car and just let it go for it for an infinite amount of time, or a finite, very long amount of time, until it got something right. But it would need a human, to validate every frequency, because you can't validate every frequency with the microphone, because the microphone is the thing that's making the mistakes. It's just measuring pressure. It's not measuring, the feeling of the human hearing. So that was calibrated spherical. This was the Alpine, which had enough, you could get away with saying it was centered with a pull. This was centerline, fat centerline, with a bit of a jaggy, so it made the ball feel bigger, and a pull. And this was ear to ear, where you might correct the whole thing left a bit, and you still got this waviness, this 4 dB waviness throughout the ball, and so you end up with a bigger chunk than your hand rather than a finger in front of you, and then you have to do all your manual corrections afterwards. So that's enough of that, and I could go on, test lots of other versions of spherical and see if I like one more than the other, but this is about 60 centimeters in a sphere from your speaker group. So you measure the right, you do a sphere in front of that speaker group, and you measure the left and you do a sphere, same distance, and it all centers when you listen to music, every frequency. Alright, we'll just make more of these videos until more of these people who want to come and jump on the acoustic power train and have a listen to themselves.